Hello, welcome to today's lesson. We are going to talk about driving vocabulary. And the first thing I want to tell you is that if you would like to get a copy of the lesson notes, just the notes that you see up here right next to me, you can join our community and I will send you them in your email. I will send them to your email, and if you are already a part of our community, check your inbox. They have probably already been sent to you. But let me go ahead and I'll just throw that in the chat just as a quick reminder. So this is something that we do a lot. Many of you get in the car every single day, and that's why I want to talk to you about useful and important driving words and phrases that I think you're likely to come across. So I want to begin talking about the parts of the car. And this is a quiz lesson. So I also want you to participate. Write your answers in the chat, in the comments. And also, if this is your first time here, let me know. Tell me your name, where you're from. Once again, write to me in the chat or the comments. I just love hearing from you. So I am going to show you the picture, and I just want you to tell me the word. So here's the first one. And I think it's evident based on the picture, but what would you call that? What is that? In the car, you get in, sometimes you fix it, you turn it, and what is it that you are looking at? I always got to be careful because I feel like as I talk, I really want to just say the word. But write that in the chat, in the comments, and then I will tell you the answer. And if you don't know, hopefully in this lesson, you will absolutely learn something new. So we're talking about the rear view mirror. So this is your rear view mirror, and down here below, that on the side, it is also a rear view mirror. But if I wanted to be more specific, I would say that is your side rear view mirror. But the one that's really almost right in front of you as you get in the car that you look through quite often, that is your rear view mirror. Excellent, Angela, Talal, Vincius, Shredra. I'll try to throw out some shout outs as I go through the lesson. What is that? Right there. We're talking about parts of the car. And this is, well, it's going to come up later in a question, and when it comes up, I'll mention it. But what is that? What part of the car? You see that part right here would be in the front, and that would be the back. But this is a part that I think is it's good to know. And excellent. All right, seeing some great answers. So those, well, are your bumpers. So we're talking about the front, like the front bumper or the back bumper. Just in case sometimes people will, when they bump a car, they bump into the car with their bumper, especially if you're not going really fast. The next one, well done, Nil, Jerry, Stellar, great job. How about this? I think, again, you can look at the picture, you know what I'm talking about, but do you know what it's called? And this actually has a few different names. So you could write, I'll tell you all of them that I know, and I think there is a little bit of a distinction between the US and the UK. If you don't know, I am from the United States, so of course that's the primary answer that I will give you. But there are definitely several different phrases that you could use when describing this thing. So I see some great answers. I think you guys know these parts of the car. I'm talking about the glove compartment. That's what I would call it. I would say, hey, check the glove compartment. Is there anything in there? You may also hear people say storage compartment, or I think in the UK, it's more common to say glove box. I think there are also parts of the US in which people would refer to this as the glove box. And I want to say maybe in the Northeast, they may say glove box, but in general, you would say the glove compartment. How about this is an easier one. I think you guys know this, but I wanted to include it because this is an important word. This is a part of the car that you definitely should know, especially if it starts raining and you're driving with somebody and you tell them, hey, maybe you should turn on your what? What are these called? Because if it is raining, it's definitely important that you have them on because you want to be safe. But what would you call these? And I hope that you're thinking of this word or words right here. Your windshield wiper. Now, I see that some people are saying wipers. That's perfectly fine. A lot of times people will just call, hey, are you going to turn on your wipers? But if you want it to be a little more specific, because that glass window is your windshield, but you could say your windshield wipers. Nice job. Melinda, say, Peter, Rose, Talal, great job. Nice. Cinderella, all right. Nice. I love it. All right, how about this? And the challenge that I want to present to you with this picture right here is I want to see if you can tell me the two names for both the US and the UK. So in American English, like I would call this the what? And in the UK, people would call this something else. And I think this is a word that you come across. People use this. We talk about driving, movies, TV shows, and they would call this well, in the United States, I would call it the trunk. But in the UK, people may say the boot. Excellent. You guys did a nice job. Ava, Oleg, Hari, Peter, nice. And you guys everybody's participating. I love it. Love it when that happens. Okay, now let's make it a little more challenging. I think as we go through this, I want to make it a little more difficult. And these are some different driving phrasal verbs. So I'm going to present you the sentence with the phrasal verb missing, and I want you to try to put it into context. Which phrasal verb would you use to complete the sentence that I'm going to give you? All right, so again, if you're just joining us, please write your answers in the comments, in the chat. That's what this is all about. If you don't know me, my name is Wes. The channel is Interactive English, and I want you to participate because this is an interactive lesson. I want you to write your answers down and participate in this quiz. So the first one, you can see the picture, and this person might say, my car, on the side of the road. Now, there are two blanks there. So two words. Of course, we're talking about a phrasal verb. But how would you complete that sentence? And I think this is a common phrasal verb. One of the reasons why I put it, I noticed as I've done lessons and we talk about driving, people sometimes just use one word, and then I always have to kind of correct. Well, in this context, you would say that your car broke down on the side of the road. So this person is looking at their car, something is wrong, my car broke down on the side of the road. This is when a machine or vehicle stops working. So again, a machine could break down as well, but generally speaking, most of the time when you would use this or hear this phrasal verb being used, people are going to be talking about their car and driving. And as I mentioned, sometimes when I would hear people tell a story and they might just say, my car broke on the side of the road. And that's when I would need to tell, okay, remember, it's broke down. Your car broke down on the side of the road. Excellent. Lali, Takayo, great to see you both. Nice. Eric, you guys rock that one. All right, well, we're going to get to one that maybe you don't know, all right? Or maybe it's going to be a little more challenging. So don't, read too much into the picture, but he had to wait before he could of the driveway. He had to wait before he could of the driveway. Now, I guess maybe you could say it's a 3-word phrasal verb, which would include of, but there's only one verb and particle that's going to fit into this sentence nicely so that it makes sense. And now there are actually There are a couple of different phrasal verbs that you could use, and I'll talk about both of them in just a moment. But what do you think? He had to wait before he could of the driveway. So I told you there's one of two that I think really would fit this sentence, and you could use either one. So the one that I have is pull out. You're going to pull out of the driveway, and this is when you're moving onto the road. Now, I saw some of the people put back out, and I think that works as well. You could back out of the driveway, you have the car in reverse, and you just back out of the driveway. But I feel like if you're talking about more like moving onto the road, you're going to pull out of the driveway. Well done, Rose, Talal, Angela, nice. Oven Association, you nailed both of them. Well done. So pull out of, back out of, either one of those works, and you're just moving out onto the road. All right, here is the next one. I saw some different answers with that one, so hopefully, again, maybe you learned something new, or again, that makes sense, thinking about pull out of, back out of in that context. This one, I do want you to think more about the picture you see, because somebody would just say a statement. Make sure you what? And you could use that pink picture as a hint in order to guess the phrasal verb that I'm looking for. And this is something that I think, yeah, you tell people. You get into the car, you would say this to your friend, a family member, a colleague. Make sure you what? There's a phrasal verb. You could see in the picture right there, I'm kind of rambling on, so I'll give you a little more time to write your answer, that you see the picture of the seatbelt. And another way of saying this would be, hey, put on your seatbelt. But we're not talking about that. Instead, I'm going to say the same thing, but I'm going to say make sure you buckle up. To buckle up is when you fasten the belt that keeps you in your seat. And you would use this car, you're on the plane, you got to buckle up, wear your seatbelt. Well done. Great job. Jerry, Ashley, let's see who else we got here. Julia, Ahmed, or Melinda. All right, well done. Buckle up. So that was the phrasal verb I was looking for with that question. How about this right here? Maybe this will be a little more challenging. And I know every time I say that, I think everybody gets the correct answer. But think about the situation. I can't believe that car just me. So this is a phrasal verb. You're going to have that pronoun, me, in between the verb and the particle. We could have had an accident. Right? You didn't have an accident. We could have had an accident because the car just me. So this is something that happens when you're driving, you're on the road, and it can be frustrating. It's not safe. It's not a good thing. This is when accidents happen. If some car just, zoom, and they me. So I told you that I feel like everybody kind of nailed that one. To cut off. I can't believe that car just cut me off. We could have had an accident. It's when you drive aggressively into the path of another driver and you cut someone off. All right, if you're enjoying the quiz and you're learning something new, you can let me know. Hit that like button. That tells me that I should do more of these vocabulary quizzes in the future. Well done, Cinderella, Sima Park, Ahmed, some names I can't read, Nil, Talal, to cut someone off. You're going to drive into their path. I told you, it's not a good thing. How about this one right here? What do you think? Last night I got by a cop. I think this is something that does happen in the United States quite often. If somebody is speeding, they run a red light, some problem, and maybe I'm telling you a story. I'm talking about this situation, and I say, hey, yeah, last night, it was terrible. I got by a cop. And that picture, I think, accurately sums that up right there. Once again, you would hear this, movies, TV shows. Of course, there's a lot of things that involve driving. And nice job, Edwin, Hireman, Niha, talking about the phrasal verb pulled over. Last night, I got pulled over by a cop. That's not true. It didn't happen, but it's happening in that picture right there, is when the police would stop. You're going to stop your car at the side of the road. You're basically going to pull over, but if the cop pulled you over, it's like the police that's the one who made you did this, who made you stop your car at the side of the road, and you got pulled over. But again, you could use it just in another context, like, oh, can you pull over? I need to stop at the side of the road. And you might have to pull over for a number of reasons. Here is the next part that I want to do. We're going through this quickly, and I want to see if you can identify these different driving phrases. So the first one is right here. And for this one, I'm really giving you the meaning, and I'm just blanking out the word or phrase that I want you to tell me. And again, the picture is associated with this meaning. So we're talking about a is when you have a large number of vehicles close together and unable to move or moving very slowly. So when, just like that picture, when you have all these vehicles, they're just close together, it's moving slowly or just not moving at all. It's a really, really annoying situation. I imagine most of you would agree with me, and I could see the chat just boom, 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 everybody talking about this. Probably you can, I feel like I can sense your frustration as well just thinking about this word. Great job. We're talking about a traffic jam. Nice. Vincia, Jackie, Julia, Mochika, let's see, Oleg. A traffic jam is when you have like all these cars close together, you're unable to move, it's moving slowly, and you could use it with verbs like, stuck. You're stuck in a traffic jam, and that is a bad situation that I don't think anybody enjoys. It can be really frustrating. Then we have this phrase right here. This is informal, all right? So informally, a minor collision between two motor vehicles is called a what? And you can see, I told you I would bring up that word, those bumpers right there. That the front bumper of one car has hit or the back bumper of the other car. And what would you call this type of accident, this minor collision? And I would say it's informal. I think it's often used in the US. I'm not so sure about the UK. And I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see if it's not, it is a car crash, but again, car crash, it could be a range. Especially, I feel like if I think of a car crash, I think of something maybe a little more severe. This is minor, and that's the key word here. If we're talking about a minor traffic accident, great job, Cinderella. I saw Rose had the first one of an association, a fender bender. So a fender bender is a minor collision between two vehicles. So if somebody were just to casually tell you, yesterday I was stuck in traffic, I was in a traffic jam, it was moving slowly, but I just had such bad luck and I got into a fender bender. So if somebody mentions fender bender, then you know that it was a minor accident, probably that nobody got hurt. It was a fender bender. How about, so yes, that's a good picture of a fender bender right there. How about like this guy right here? I think it sums up the meaning. So the meaning of this phrase, I'll go ahead and tell you it's a phrase. There are two words. And I'm talking about anger or violence between drivers, often caused by difficult driving conditions, is referred to as what? And I think, again, me being from the US, in the US, a lot of people have to drive to go everywhere, and sometimes there are really bad and annoying driving conditions, whether it's a traffic jam, maybe someone cuts you off, and you have this anger that just overtakes you, and you're like this guy just yelling out the window. How would you refer to that? I can see that many of you put the right answer in there. We're talking about road rage. So that anger or violence between drivers, it's referred to as road rage. And yes, that guy is experiencing some serious road rage right there. The next one, is a time during each day when traffic is at its heaviest. I want to make a little distinction because that picture looks similar to the other one. Maybe we talked about a traffic jam. Even though that looks like a traffic jam, that's not what I'm talking about. The key word here is time, like the time of the day. So when you use this phrase, you're talking about this specific time of the day. Traffic is at its heaviest. Likely there is going to be a traffic jam in that situation. And we're talking about, well done, Angela, Lolly, rush hour. So if you want to just refer to that time where most cars are there, maybe it's a traffic jam, maybe it's not, but there's a lot of cars out on the road, and you're talking about rush hour. Generally speaking, the time when most people finish work between like 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. is considered rush hour traffic. And you're like, yeah, I'm hoping I'm going to leave early so I can avoid rush hour. Or maybe I'm going to stay late, do a little extra work so that I can avoid rush hour. Nobody likes to be in rush hour because that's when I think a lot of people may experience road rage. But this, again, even though it looks like a traffic jam, if we're talking about the time, we're talking about rush hour traffic. How about this? And I think you guys, if you can't think of it now, I know it is a phrase that you've heard of before. Is a method of parking a vehicle alongside a road and in line with other parked vehicles. So what this car is doing right here. What is that word? I'm giving you the meaning up here. A method of parking a vehicle alongside a road and in line with other parked vehicles is called what? And this is something when you're driving, it's important to learn because people should know how to do this, especially if you live in a city. You probably have to do this quite often. And you are going to need to learn how to what? What this car is doing right here is we're talking about parallel parking. Excellent. Manuel, Claire, Diana, nice. Parallel parking is the act of, or the method of parking a vehicle alongside a road, and you're really in line with those other cars, and you are parallel parking, or maybe you need to parallel park. Quite common if you are driving or you live in a city, and you see this all the time. But now you know what it's called. If this is new for you, you see a car, they kind of stop next to the other car in front of them, and then they back up and they parallel park. Let's see. I'm curious to see how many of you know this one. And I think this picture's a good picture capturing this phrase. A passenger in a car who gives the driver unwanted advice may be referred to as a what? So you can see in the car, maybe she's giving advice that he doesn't really want, or he doesn't want to hear, and maybe it bothers him, it annoys him. But you could say in this context that she is a what? And I think maybe the picture is too much of a hint because I see many people throwing in the correct answer. And what I'm talking about is you could call that person a backseat driver. So if somebody in the car is giving you unwanted advice, they're telling you what to do. Hey, move over to that lane right there. Maybe you should go a little faster. Slow down a bit. You could say that person is a backseat driver. They're not driving the car, but they're telling the driver what he or she should be doing. And you could say somebody's a backseat driver. Excellent. Well done. You guys, I think a lot of you got that one. So, and again, I think the picture maybe makes it a little easier, at least I hope. So if you would like to get these lesson notes, once again, click on that link down below in the description. If you are already a part of our email community, check your email. I will send them to you. Here's a little bit of review of the words and phrases that we talked about in this lesson, different car parts, phrasal verbs, useful car phrases. My hope is always that with these quiz lessons that you learn something new. My last question, and I'm going to type it in here. I just want to know, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a poll. How did you do in today's lesson? How did you do on the quiz? And give you a chance to answer. I'll say all of them correct. All right, and I got most of them. And then the last choice would be, okay, I need more practice. All right, which is fair. I think if there's something that we're not familiar with, it's always good to get a little more practice. I told you that my hope is that you always learn one or two new things with these lessons. I would say this, even though you may be familiar with many of these, I do think this is a bit more advanced because these are very specific when you're talking about driving. If you live in the US, you probably spend a lot of time in the car. If you live somewhere else in Europe or another part of the world, you may not spend as much time driving. So some of these words and phrases may be new. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed the lesson. Again, I hope you learned something. Well, I don't have many, it doesn't seem like many of you got all of them correct. And the fact that most of you are like, I got most of our, I need more practice, makes me think that you learned something new. And if you did learn something new and enjoyed the lesson, please hit that like button. That's all I have for you today. Have a wonderful